It might not seem like it, but Peppa Pig is sometimes incredibly sad. I know that's a pretty strong and honestly questionable statement to make, but I promise you, this show has the power to really make you think, and I can prove it to you. For example, have you ever had to say goodbye to your best friend forever? In the episode Susie Moves Away, Peppa finds out that Susie's sheep is moving. Not to another street, not to another neighborhood, but to the other side of the world. And we watch in real time as Peppa's heart breaks into 1,000 little pieces. First comes the news, out of nowhere, in the middle of a happy game. Then, the realization that they won't even see each other at school anymore. It's the kind of moment that starts with an "I'll miss you" and ends with you crying into your pillow, holding your stuffed animal. And the worst part is that the goodbye hurts because it feels so real. Peppa tries to hold back her emotions, but the sadness hits hard when she realizes her routine will never be the same again. The best friend who is there every day to play, laugh, even argue sometimes, is going to disappear from her life. And when they reunite the next day to remember all their special moments, the two end up arguing. Like even sadness didn't know where it fit. It's an episode about loss, change, and that strange feeling of growing up a little, even when you didn't mean to. And speaking of didn't mean to, in The Quarrel, Peppa and Susie are having fun as always, until Susie starts winning every round of the game, and out of nowhere, the fun turns into frustration. Peppa gets annoyed and so angry that she starts yelling and pointing her finger in Susie's face, accusing her of cheating and saying all sorts of mean things. For the first time, we see two best friends really drifting apart, and the lighthearted tone of the show turns into a painful scene of hurt pride. It's sad because it's not just some silly argument. It's the kind of fight that hurts in your chest, because it comes from someone you love deeply. They turn their backs on each other, pout, and suddenly the world feels emptier without the other one around. Anyone who's ever fought with their best friend knows how much it hurts. Not because of the game, but because what you really wanted was to laugh together and just stay there, side by side. Just like you always stay by our side. So hold my hand tight and subscribe to the channel, because we've got many other sad Peppa moments that are going to move you. It's time for another episode of Zigzag. In the episode The Best Friend, George goes through a moment that breaks your heart. He and Peppa play together all the time. They're almost inseparable. But on this day, everything changes. Susie comes over to visit, and suddenly, George is no longer welcome. He tries to join in, wants to play with the two of them, but Peppa frowns and says no, as if her beloved little brother were just a nuisance. And the worst part is seeing George standing there, not understanding why he's being left out. He doesn't throw a tantrum. He doesn't yell, he just feels. You can tell by his little expressions that it hurts. How come the sister who's always been his partner now doesn't even want him nearby? It's the kind of quiet sadness that you feel even as an adult, because sometimes what really hurts isn't the fight, it's being abandoned. Have you ever felt that way because of someone? Comment down below. In the episode Mr. Lost Dinosaur, we see George going through a pain that might seem small, but is huge for a child. He loses his favorite toy. And it's not just any toy, it's Mr. Dinosaur, the companion for all times, who sleeps with him, who goes on all the imaginary adventures. For someone in that phase where dinosaurs are the coolest thing in the universe, this isn't just a lost toy, it's as if a part of the magical childhood world has disappeared. And you can feel his desperation. George can't explain everything he's feeling, but you can see in his eyes that it broke his heart. And I know exactly what that pain is. When I was a kid, my favorite toy was a Sonic plush. I carried that doll everywhere, and one day during a trip, I forgot him on the bus. I never saw him again. And even today as an adult, I still sometimes remember Sonic and feel a little emptiness in my chest. Because when we're little, these toys aren't just objects. They're friends, companions, part of our identity. Did you also have a toy that was your best friend and lost it forever? Vent in the comments with the hashtag toy so we can cry together. One of the episodes that marks a turning point for Peppa and her friends is the visit to the hospital. Their little animal lives were all about playing. Until right at the beginning, Peppa slips and scrapes a huge chunk of skin off her leg from how hard she fell. After that is treated, Madame Gazelle takes the opportunity to explain that they learned they can get hurt and reveals, Pedro Pony missed school because he is in the hospital. He had a terrible accident. For Peppa and her friends, seeing Pedro like that is a reality shock. They really worry, try to cheer him up, and for the first time, the show shows that childhood also has hard moments. That friend who was always running around with them now needs crutches. And that changes everything. Pedro's physical pain is strong, but the feeling of seeing someone you love hurt, unable to do anything to help, is a kind of sadness that stays with you, but not as much as the mark the next injury leaves. In the episode Chloe's Older Friends, Peppa gets a plot twist right in the face when she goes to visit her older cousin. As we already know, Peppa has been a 4-year-old piglet for the last 20 years, but Chloe is a much older preteen. It's only natural that she has friends her own age, and that's what Peppa faces when she and George arrive at her cousin's house. What hurts in this episode is how Chloe's friends, at first, treat Peppa like she's disposable just because she's younger. They dismiss all of Peppa's play ideas as baby games. That's really sad to watch because Peppa has no control over her age. Don't you also think it's unfair that they use Peppa's age against her? In the episode Granny Sheep Moves In, Susie receives the news that her grandmother will live with her and her mother. The scene seems cheerful, with suitcases, furniture, and even laughter while everything is unloaded from the car. But behind this move, there is a silence that says a lot. Susie's family is just her mother, and now her grandmother. And no sign of a father around. It's a detail the show never says out loud, but it weighs on you when you realize it. While Peppa has a full house with a dad, mom, and brother, Susie has a very different routine and needs extra help to be cared for while her mom works. And that's when the saddest part hits. Realizing that, even in the lightest stories, some children already face big absences. And it's a beautiful choice of this show to represent children like that too. But here on the channel, we are a family. So be part of it too and subscribe to the channel, so no one ever feels alone again. In the episode Grandpa and Grandma's Attic, everything starts as a simple, fun visit to the grandparents' attic, full of old objects and curiosities. But in the middle of the mess, there's a quick and quiet scene that hits differently. Grandma and Grandpa Pig look at some old objects, speak with a bittersweet smile, and Peppa doesn't even notice. But for those watching, there's a sudden realization. Time has passed, and it's still passing right now. Those objects have stories. And that attic is like a time capsule that we almost never stop to open. It's a moment that kids might not even catch, but adults feel it deeply. Because growing up is fun, but it also means moving away from childhood, from the people we love, and from the moments that won't ever come back. The episode ends lightly, with the kids laughing as always, but we're left with that lump in the throat. Everything that feels eternal when we're little one day becomes just a memory stored in a cardboard box. And that's why even the simplest cartoon in the world can suddenly make us want to hug our grandparents and never let go. Because in a world that moves so fast, it's these quiet, fleeting moments that stay with us the longest. They remind us that behind every old box, there's a piece of who we are, or in some cases, of who we used to be. And that makes us just hug our grandparents and never let them go.